My name is Sarah, and I believed in the vows I took, in sickness and in health. For 10 years, my husband Tom and I had a good life. It wasn't perfect. He had a habit of starting ambitious business ventures that always seemed to fizzle out, leaving us in a precarious financial state, but our love felt real. I was the steady one, the reliable one, the one who always believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself. The day he came home from the doctor, his face pale and shattered, my world stopped. He collapsed into my arms, sobbing. "It's a tumor, Sarah," he whispered, his body trembling. "In my brain. Inoperable. They said I have a year, maybe less." He showed me the documents from the neurologist, full of terrifying medical jargon and a grim prognosis. The diagnosis was a rare, aggressive form of glioblastoma. My heart shattered. The thought of a world without Tom was unbearable. In that moment, I made a decision. I would not let him face this alone. I would make his final year the most beautiful, love-filled year of his life. The very next day, I quit my job as a project manager to become his full-time caregiver. Our life became a whirlwind of doctor's appointments, new medications, and a desperate attempt to create perfect moments. Our friends and family were incredible. They rallied around us, bringing meals, offering support. My best friend, Lisa, started a GoFundMe page titled Tom's Battle to help us with the mounting medical bills and to fund a trip for an experimental treatment in Switzerland that Tom had read about. The money poured in. Our community was generous, moved by the story of a young man fighting for his life. Tom played the part of the brave patient perfectly. He was gracious, tearfully thanking people for their support, writing poignant updates on the fundraising page about his fight. He was showered with love, sympathy, and a constant stream of attention. Some days, he'd be too weak to get out of bed. On others, he'd have a burst of energy, and we'd go for a gentle walk, him leaning on me, a tragic, romantic picture of love in the face of death. I held on to those good days like a lifeline, proof that he was still with me. Months went by, and a strange, unsettling thought began to creep into the back of my mind, a thought I was deeply ashamed of. For a man with a terminal brain tumor, Tom wasn't getting worse. Some weeks he seemed healthier than ever. He explained it as the ebb and flow of the disease, and I desperately wanted to believe him. The first real seed of doubt was planted by our local pharmacist. I was picking up a refill of Tom's powerful pain medication. "You know," the pharmacist said conversationally, "it's amazing how well he's handling this. He was in here himself yesterday to pick up some vitamins, and he looked like he could run a marathon." I froze. Tom had told me he'd been too sick to leave the house all day. Why would he lie about something so small? I brushed it off, but the seed was planted. I started paying closer attention. I found a receipt for a brand new set of expensive golf clubs, dated a month after his diagnosis. When I asked him, he claimed they were a final gift from a friend. I found new designer clothes hidden in the back of his closet, things we couldn't possibly afford. "I want to look my best for you, in the time I have left," he'd said, his eyes filled with tears that I now began to question. The guilt of my own suspicion was eating me alive. How could I doubt my dying husband? But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living in a lie. The final proof came from his work laptop, which he'd kept in his study, claiming he was tying up loose ends for his old business. One night, unable to sleep, I opened it. What I found was a betrayal so monstrous, so cold-blooded, it felt unreal. There was a folder labeled Research. Inside were not medical studies, but downloaded templates for fake MRIs, forged lab results, and articles on how to convincingly fake a brain tumor. He had downloaded the exact documents he had shown me, just with his name typed in. The entire illness, the diagnosis, the prognosis, it was all a lie, a meticulously crafted performance. My hands were shaking, my breath coming in ragged gasps. It got worse. I found another folder, this one filled with photos. Photos of him on a business trip he'd taken 3 months ago, a trip paid for with our GoFundMe money. He was on a beach, smiling, looking the picture of health. And he wasn't alone. He was with a woman, a young, beautiful woman I had never seen before. The experimental treatment in Switzerland was a lie to fund a romantic getaway with his mistress. My husband wasn't dying. He was thriving, living his best life, funded by the kindness and pity of everyone we knew. I sat in the dark study for hours, the glow of the laptop screen illuminating the full scale of his monstrous deception. The grief I felt for my dying husband was instantly replaced by a cold, diamond-hard rage. He hadn't just lied to me. He had lied to our friends, our family, to hundreds of kind strangers who had opened their hearts and their wallets. He had weaponized my love and the community's compassion for his own selfish, hedonistic pleasure. I knew I couldn't just confront him. He was a master liar. He would twist the story, call me crazy, maybe even try to pin the fraud on me. He needed to be exposed, publicly and undeniably. My plan was cruel, but so was his deception. I organized a huge community hero event for Tom at our local town hall. I told everyone it was a final fundraiser and a chance to celebrate my husband's incredible bravery. I invited everyone who had ever donated, all our friends, our families, and even the local news. Tom, of course, loved the idea. It was the ultimate stage for his performance. The night of the event, the hall was packed. Tom was on stage, in a wheelchair for dramatic effect, giving a tearful, moving speech about his battle and thanking everyone for their support. He was a picture of tragic heroism. The crowd was crying. It was disgusting. When he finished, to thunderous applause, I took the stage. I smiled at my husband, then at the crowd. "Thank you all for coming," I began, my voice clear and steady. "Tom is so brave, but there's something about his journey you all need to see." I nodded to a technician at the back of the hall. The large projector screen behind Tom, which had been showing a slideshow of our happy photos, suddenly changed. The first image was a screenshot of his search history. How to convincingly fake a brain tumor. A confused murmur went through the crowd. The next slide was the template for his forged MRI results, right next to the official one he'd shown us. Then came the photos. Tom, tan and healthy, laughing on a beach with his mistress. And finally, the bank statements, showing thousands of dollars of GoFundMe money spent on golf clubs, designer clothes, and 5-star hotels. The silence in the hall was absolute, broken only by a few gasps of horror. Tom had turned around in his wheelchair. His face was a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. He was trapped, exposed under the bright stage lights. I looked at him, then back at the crowd. "My husband is not dying," I said, my voice ringing with a strength I didn't know I possessed. "But his lies are." The aftermath was a public spectacle. The police were called, and he was arrested for fraud right there on the stage. The story was everywhere. He lost everything. His freedom, his reputation, his family. I spent the next few months working with the authorities to return every single dollar that had been donated. It was a humiliating, exhausting process, but it was the right thing to do. I had lost a husband and 10 years of my life to a lie. But as I walked away from that town hall, free from his web of deception, I hadn't just exposed a monster. I had reclaimed my own truth.